Hi, I'm Jeannie Jacobs. Today we're going to make white chocolate bread pudding. So if you like this recipe and you want to see more, please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, comment, and also subscribe to my other social media channels. This recipe will be found in my upcoming cookbook, Welcome to My Table, where life's best moments happen. Now, I'm going to give you a kitchen tip or a hack, and it's very important. It's for safety. When you're on a solid surface and you need to cut anything on a wooden board or a plastic board, glass board, you name it, you want to make sure the board is secured to your surface. And with a surface like this, it's pretty slick. And when you put a wood cutting board on top, guess what? When you start cutting, the board will move and you can risk cutting yourself or losing all your food on the floor. So what I do, I take a wet, damp towel like this, place it on my surface. I get the cutting board and just place it. See, it won't move. And this way I can make sure that I'm cutting everything that I need safely, and I'm not going to lose any of the food, like hitting the floor or this board falling off this countertop and hurting me. Brioche bread is what I'm going to choose for this particular recipe. I love this type of bread. It smells so buttery. The texture is very soft, and it just really has a lot of flavor, and it soaks up the custard that you're going to make in order to make the chocolate bread pudding. Now, you can use any bread that you want. Some people use sourdough, some people use leftover, bread that you have in your home, etc. Or you can make your own bread. It's totally up to you. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut down our bread, okay, into cubes for this chocolate bread pudding. And I use a serrated knife. Serrated knives are best for cutting bread. Just for your information, that's another cooking tip that I found over the years quite useful. This bread smells so good. Typically, I buy my bread from my favorite bakery and I let it sit for a day or two. The older the better, but you don't want to make the bread where there's mold. So go ahead and just cut them into cubes. I like my cubes into nice bite-sized pieces. I don't like them too small because I don't want my bread pudding to be, kind of mushy. So nice bite-sized cubes, reasonable size, work very well. Now we have our bread cut in nice sized cubes, just perfect. This bread smells absolutely wonderful. The texture is perfect. It will absorb the custard very, very well. So the next phase, what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually make our custard. Now, the second part of making the white chocolate bread pudding, we gotta make the custard sauce, because that's gonna be the yummy goodness that the bread absorbs and gives you that rich, creamy, spicy flavor of this dish. So let's watch, let's see what we're gonna do. All right, what we're gonna do, we're gonna turn the stove top on. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna place heavy whipping cream and whole milk into our pot. We're just gonna let the milk just kind of steam up a little bit before we add our white chocolate chips. And please try not to eat the white chocolate chips. I do all the time. They're just so yummy. Cannot resist. All right, now we're gonna let the steam up before we add any of our white chocolate chips, okay? Now, as our whipping cream and whole milk heats up, I'm going to stir it because I don't want the milk to squirt. So you can't really turn that heat up too high. And I'm gonna adjust my heat just a little bit because it is a little bit too high, I think. You just want to keep stirring it and get the milk warm enough where there's steam rising off the top of the milk and the heavy whipping cream. And this will take a little bit, so you've got to be patient, okay? Remember, do not scorch the heavy whipping cream and milk, because if you do, you have to start all over again. Now, our heavy whipping cream and milk is beginning to steam, getting just a tad bit bubbly, but the temperature is just right. So what we're gonna do is add our white chocolate chips, and since I'm cooking outside, my chips are pretty soft. It's pretty hot here in Texas. So we're gonna go ahead and put these into our heavy whipping cream and milk. And stir, please, because you don't want all this to stick on the bottom of the pan. You want a nice, smooth, creamy texture. Drop your heat as you need to. You don't really want to cook the chips. You just want it to melt very nicely into this heavy whipping cream and milk mixture. Now, our chocolate chips have melted smoothly, nicely into the heavy whipping cream and whole milk. It is so smooth, it is milky, it's flavorful, just the way it should be, not scorched. And there are no clumps of white chocolate sitting in the bottom of this pot. So I'm gonna turn the heat off, cover it, and we're gonna make the second phase of our custard, because now we have to mix in our eggs, our sugars, and our vanilla flavoring, and whisk really nicely before we actually put the white chocolate mixture into the egg mixture. And when you do that, you need to be very careful. You're gonna have to temper the amount of white chocolate that you place into the eggy custard, because if you don't and you put too much of the white chocolate mixture in, what happens, it will cook the eggs and you're going to have like eggs everywhere, like, you know, scrambled looking egg pieces, and that's not what you want. That's not the type of texture you want for any type of bread pudding. Now let's get to the custard and the bread and all the fun stuff, really the essence of this white chocolate pudding. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make sure that we have some really good eggs. So I got these nice farm raised eggs down the street. And we're gonna place 4 eggs inside a large mixing bowl. Then we're gonna add our brown sugar, our white sugar. We have some cinnamon for the spice. And I tell you, the cinnamon with the candle and all of this mixed together, you're talking about such a rich, spicy flavor. I mean, it just wows your senses and makes you want to eat this dish. Of course, we're gonna add some vanilla flavor. I like the paste. If you have vanilla beans, that would be even better. Get all the paste out. And we're gonna add nutmeg. That is like a true secret here, I think. Nutmeg really just the flavors for you. I'm kind of a nutmeg fiend. I love nutmeg. I think it's one of the best spices out there that you can use, especially for any dessert. And of course, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. I'm gonna do one of my grandmother's pinches here. Now let's mix the eggs, our sugars, a nutmeg, our cinnamon, our salt, and our vanilla paste together. Ooh, it smells good. Now here you have it. This is what we're looking like. Now I took our white chocolate sauce off the burner, but it's still too hot. Because remember, I tell you, if you put hot mixture into your egg mixture, what's gonna happen? The eggs are gonna curdle and you're gonna have this eggy, scrambled egg looking bread pudding. We don't want that. So what I'm gonna do, I got a bowl of ice and I'm gonna put the pot that we made the white chocolate sauce in, and we're gonna drop it into the ice to help it cool down. So when I start ladling this white chocolate mixture into the egg custard, we won't get the scrambled egg effect. So placing it into our icy mixture here, just to help cool it down. Okay, so our white chocolate chip mixture is actually cool now, and this more of the, since I dropped it, the whole pan, into the ice bath. And it's comfortable. See, I can put my finger in there without burning. So now we're gonna start adding this mixture to our eggs. Still wanna ladle the first round in and whisk, just to temper the egg mixture. We don't want any scrambled eggs in our bread pudding, okay? It's just not cool. And I think we did it. I think it's tempered nicely. I don't see any eggs in the mixture. So we're gonna add more. And I like to do it slowly. So we bring the mixture to where it needs to be. Just whisk it in nicely. Add, ladle some more. Great, there we go. And we're about to add the bread. So I have our dish, which I have buttered, and I've also preheated our oven to 350. So I'm gonna take this dish and I'm gonna add our bread to it. And then I'm gonna pour the custard over it. Yummy, yummy. I'm starting over with a different dish. It's a little bit deeper. All right, so this is our dish. I buttered it and I preheated our oven already to 350 so we can get started. Now that I've placed or poured over the custard mix over our bread in a casserole dish, we're gonna let it sit for 10 minutes. And after that, we'll pop it into the oven for 350 for about 35-40 minutes. Depends on your oven, of course, but I usually bake it until I can see my bread pudding turn a golden brown. Sometimes you can let it toast a little bit more. It depends on, I guess, the texture that you desire for your bread pudding to be, especially on the crust. Now we have a bread pudding mixture. See how the bread absorbed our custard. Now we're gonna place it in the oven at 350 degrees for 40-45 minutes or till the top is like a golden brown. So now we're gonna make the rum sauce that's gonna go on top of that bread pudding once it comes out of the oven, giving it even more flavor. So all we need, heavy whipping cream, whole milk, we need brown sugar, white sugar, of course, white chocolate chips, vanilla flavoring, and we're gonna add some rum. So here we go. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna heat up our heavy whipping cream and our milk. I'm gonna turn it down the flames just a little bit too high. Again, we don't want to scorch our milk or heavy whipping cream. I'm gonna add our whole milk. Okay, let's stir here a little bit. Again, I'm gonna turn down my flame. Sometimes the trick, it's a little difficult when you cook outside because of the wind will kind of blow your flame. So you kind of have to turn your flame up a little bit higher than usual, but we're gonna get this milk hot, but not too hot or scorched. Let's go ahead and add our white sugar. We're gonna add our brown sugar. Let's stir these. What I'm gonna do is add actually the white chocolate chips last. Let's make sure the sugars are dissolved and I don't feel any granularity at the bottom of the pot. Oh, a little bit right there. So let's make sure this dissolves. Now let's add our white chocolate chips. And let's make sure we stir this well. Again, we don't want the white chocolate chips to get clumpy, okay? Or, get that granular texture because you overcooked them. So we want to make sure that the white chocolate chips dissolve and the mixture remains smooth. Let's turn down the heat a little bit more. So now what we're gonna do, taking our sauce off the heat. So we're gonna make the second part of the sauce. We're gonna add the second tier ingredients, but these are the most important ingredients because it's gonna really give the sauce the flavor that we want, that rum. So I'm gonna add the butter. Gonna add our vanilla flavoring. I'm using a paste. It's my favorite. Give it a good stir. Now I'm gonna add the final ingredient, the rum. And now we have our sauce. All right, we are done, I think. Yes, golden brown. Wow. Smells yummy. Gotta put my top camera on. Nice and golden brown. Okay. Now we're gonna drizzle our butter on top. Butter goodness, butter goodness. Let's go ahead and try our. A little rum sauce.